was without a doubt, without any doubt at all, the worst meal I have ever had. Ever.
Yeah, you would say that, though.
Well, what did you think of the food? That food?
I thought it was very good.
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you?
I got the caterer's business card. I want to see if they do smaller groups, 10 or so or under.
You must be kidding.
You have a birthday coming up.
Don't invite me.
That soup was exquisite.
Were we at the same table? It was barely passable, Claire.
Oh, it was much more than passable.
Well, it was certainly better than that main course, whatever that was trying to be.
You always like the food they've served.
I think they changed caterers. Or is it food providers? I think in this case, food providers is a better choice of term. They did provide food. Caterer implies food that is creatively done, that has had a certain amount of thought and care and attention given to it.
You seem to enjoy it, but then that was before you lost.
I was making the best of it. I was being polite. If I had been served that slop in a restaurant and it was on my dime, and dime is about all that it was worth, I'd have sent it back without any hesitation. I'd have taken it back into the kitchen myself and confronted the chef, so-called, and his so-called staff, and let them all know just what a fiasco had been served to me on my plate. On all our plates.
I saw Vincent ask for seconds, and I thought I'd never had a better cup of coffee.
Swill. And as for Vincent, Vincent.
He's a food critic.
So-called.
He's got a column in the Times. He's got 3 books to his credit, one of which won in his category this evening.
Well, see, that explains it.
Explains what?
The asking for a second helping. He was on a high, as were others. That's the only explanation.
He asked for seconds before the presentation.
It was his first nomination. He'd have been on a high even if he'd lost.
Is that why I enjoyed my food so much? I've been to these events before.
Not as a nominee, you haven't.
Oh, you were a nominee. You were a nominee coming in as a past winner with excellent reviews. If anyone should have been on a high there, it was you.
Better reviews than the ones for the book I did win for. Reynolds of the New York Review of Books said, "It's hard to believe, but Volume 2 is even better than Volume 1. So, there.
So, there. What?
With reviews like that, I should have been swept away by the food. I was the perfect definition of shoe-in, the one to beat. Didn't someone say that in a review? This is the book to beat. So, there. The food was passable at best. Maybe Vincent hadn't had anything to eat all day, and anything, even that bilge, was better than nothing. He was getting lightheaded. And this is even more likely. He was so appalled by what he'd eaten, he needed to have a second helping just to make sure he wasn't imagining how ghastly it was. Yes, that.
I saw him ask for the caterer's card.
Oh, no doubt. So he could write one of his withering reviews, or a letter letting the caterer know just what that catastrophe was going to bring him. And he should be warned so that he'd be prepared for when the review comes out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on his website already. Should we take a look?
I'm not going to say it. I am not. You can go fuck yourself. You can go to hell if you think I'm going to say that to you. You prick. You fucking selfish prick. There was nothing wrong with that food or this evening other than the fact that you lost. And I won.
And I couldn't be more pleased. I'm only sorry that dismal food was such a blot on your evening of triumph.
Hell's bells, Stephen. You were the only blot on my evening of triumph.
Did I not hug you when it was your name that came out of that envelope? Did I not kiss you when it was your name that came out of that envelope? Was that me or wasn't it who rose to his feet to lead in a well-deserved standing ovation as you walked up to the stage to receive your well-deserved award? Or did I do none of those things and all that was just in my imagination?
No, you behaved very well. If only you'd meant any of it.
But I did. I was. I am genuinely pleased for you.
And that's why you've done nothing but bitch and moan and groan about everything under the sun since I returned to the table.
As I said, that meal was a disgrace on what was an otherwise memorable evening. And even that meal was memorable. It was so out of place on such a wonderful occasion.
You can't stand it. You just can't stand it. You had already leaned in to hug me as the envelope was being opened, ready to spring up onto the stage to accept what you thought was going to be yours. What else could you do when it was my name you heard but hug me, but kiss me, but rise to your feet? You hugged me so you wouldn't collapse to the floor from the shock that the woman at your side, who had never written anything longer than a letter before this, was the winner, and not you.
You don't know what I was feeling, what I was experiencing at that moment.
Oh, it doesn't take much imagination to get there.
Well, you can see it that way if you want to, but I don't. That was one of the happiest hugs I've ever given anyone. One of the most joyful kisses I've ever given anyone in my life. And I was only too proud to rise to my feet and lead in that ovation.
Just so everyone would say, how wonderful of him. No ego there.
None. None whatsoever. Believe it or not, it had occurred to me that shoo-in or not, there was the chance that I might not win, and I did think a bit about how I might pay tribute to you should you be the winner.
I'm vibrating. Hello. I'm going to let your father have the pleasure. It's Diane.
Hello. Well, first off, the food was god-awful. God-awful. I was setting the scene for you. Well, your mother won. Yes, she did, and I was so happy for her I couldn't get to my feet fast enough to lead the crowd in a much-deserved standing ovation. It isn't often a little book like that, under 150 pages, wins that prize. But she certainly packed a wallop into the few pages she did, right? I guess I could take a lesson from her on how to do it. Quality, not quantity. Yes, there's always the hope of the Pulitzer. Well, so, thank you so much for calling. What? Oh, yes, here she is. Good night, sweetie. So nice of you to call.
Hey. It was a shock, yes. I still can't believe it happened, except your father is a constant reminder that it did. Ah, yes, he did. He got up and pulled out my chair and gave me a big smooch right in front of everybody. After a kiss like that, everybody must think we're home screwing our brains out. Sorry if that's too vivid an image for you. Instead, he's been criticizing the meal like it's the food we all go there for and not the prizes. Yeah, I'm just exhausted. And I still have to find a spot on the mantle for our little addition. It's really quite sweet. No, it's different this year. They asked somebody else to design it, so it doesn't look at all like the one your father has. I'll email you a picture of it once it's in its home. Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. And oh, I'm going to be on the Today Show Tuesday. Can you believe it? Me on the Today Show? Yeah, I'm usually having coffee watching the Today Show. Now I'll be having coffee on the Today Show. I hate to cut this short, and I do appreciate the call, but it's been a big night for me, and I'm pooped. This, and soon the Today Show. What more could a person wish for? Give Nicholas a hug for me, and Jeffrey. Next to getting the prize, this call has been the highlight of my evening. Good night, honey. You get a good sleep. I love you. Bye-bye. Gosh, I do hope they will let me have a cup of coffee while I'm doing the interview. It'll make me feel more comfortable.
Maybe they could roll out some set that looks like a kitchen for the interview so you'll feel right at home.
Do you think they would? Fuck you. I am not going to say it. I am not going to say it. I am not going to say it.
After all the fuck yous and the screw yous and the goddamn yous and the go to hell yous, I don't know what's left for you not to say.
Oh, the one thing you are dying to hear. You're just going to have to go to your grave without hearing it.
If I guess.
I wonder where it should go. Here. Here. Maybe here. Where do you think it should go? Where do you think I should put it?
I think it's always better to let a few days go by before you make that decision.
Maybe tonight I'll just sleep with it.
Yes, you do that.
That'll be the last thing I see before I close my eyes, and the first thing I see when I open them in the morning. This. And you.
Be sure to mention that on the Today Show. It's so human interest.
Actually, this is pretty nice. Did you really look at this? Look at this. It's beautifully made. It's a wonderful shape. It's definitely not going to go in a closet on a shelf. That would be a crime. Not after the artist put so much time and effort into creating this. That would be a sin. It should really be a focal point in a room. This is so much nicer than the ones they used to hand out. If anything would get me back to the typewriter, getting another one of these would be a terrific incentive.
Oh? Part 2?
You wrote part 2.
There was the life of Dostoevsky. Of course there was a part 2. There was so much life.
I know what this is about. Don't think I don't. I was a little slow on the uptight credit the late hour, but now I get it. I see what's behind this mood.
Mood?
Mood.
I relayed my impressions about the evening as I experienced it, and this is what I get. I'm accused of being in a mood.
Oh, the food. This is more than the food and the fact that you did not win.
Oh, please. This is not the first time that I've lost, and that you've been there with me when I've lost.
But not to me.
I am overjoyed at your success.
Mood. I didn't thank you when I accepted the award.
Oh, come on. Why would you? What did I have to do with your book? I didn't even know you'd written it until it was practically in print. Thank me for what? There was no need. I didn't expect it.
I took a page out of your handbook. I kept it strictly business. And I thank David for being my agent, and I thank the publisher
I know
for...
who you thanked. I was there. After the favor David did you representing the book when you were no one other than my wife to him, you better have thanked him, and thanked him first, as you did, and so effusively.
Favor?
Favor, that's what it was. That was a huge favor he did you. All the people dying to have him represent them, and you stroll into his office and drop that manuscript of yours onto his desk.
It wasn't quite like that.
Well, however it was like, it still amounts to a huge favor.
Favor?
Don't say it like it's a four-letter word. David was being incredibly nice to you.
Nice? You think that's all this has been? A bunch of people being nice to me? Doing me favors? First David taking on the book as my agent, and then the publisher just being nice? All those reviewers, they were just being nice to me? The people who bought my book, they were just being nice to me? The panel that awarded me this prize, they were just being nice to me? I've known your agent as long as you have. I've had him here for dinner many, many times. I've sent him how many birthday and Christmas cards and gifts over the years? Oh, listen, you. He wasn't doing me any favor. He's the one who suggested I put these stories about my mother and me down on paper. What do you think we talked about at this or that cocktail party or dinner party? The weather? You? He wanted to know what kind of a woman you were married to, and he found out. It's why the book is dedicated to him. He took the time to find out who I was. To him, I wasn't just the woman you walked in the door with.
I wanted to know who you were. It's why I married you. I thought I...
What?
Oh, never mind, it's late.
No, you thought what?
I thought I was the most important person to you.
Not before I met you. You are now, you have been. But before you and before the kids and our life, it was my mother.
So are you going to leave me?
What? Because I wrote one book and I got a prize? And you've been a prick about it? You've been a prick before and I've stayed. Being a prick isn't the only thing you are to me.
I read the book. I know what the book is about.
Well, it's not too difficult to figure out.
To some people, it is a delightful, madcap, picaresque road journey across the country taken by a woman running away from her husband with their young daughter. But not to me. There is nothing the least ways charming or madcap or picaresque about it.
Not even when she bought me that chicken as a pet.
Are you leaving me? Are you?
I wrote the book to find that out.
Well, did you? Are you?
Her marriage is not my marriage. Her husband is not my husband. I sat in the seat next to her in that car again every time that I sat at my desk and wrote. And I found out that I did not need to do that. It's probably why I only have the one book in me, because that was my biggest question. And I got my answer by taking that trip again to figure out I had no reason to take a trip like that for myself. Myself is here, like it has been and will be.
Now I can like the book. I liked it before in that I always thought it was beautifully written and so evocative. As a critic, I could admire it very much, and as another writer, envy the hell out of it. But as the man who slept beside you all these years, it scared the shit out of me, because I thought...
Well, don't think that. I was the little girl in the passenger seat. I'm in a different car now, and there's no one else I'd rather be sitting next to, no matter how big an asshole you've been this evening.
I wasn't an asshole the entire evening.
No, just since I won and you didn't.
You shouldn't say it. You're right not to say it. It wouldn't be right. You have nothing to feel sorry for. No one on that panel did you any favors voting for that book as the book of the year.
I'm only going to do it this once. This was my chance to go the distance. This is the trip I took.
I still think that food left a lot to be desired.
Oh, you wouldn't think that if you traveled cross country with your mother when you were 12 and you ate at every greasy spoon you came to. After meals like that, everything else is ambrosia.
See? You know, Judge, your criteria for what is good or for what passes for good is very low. I am ashamed of myself.
Well, you wanted to win. Your book is 3 times longer than mine, 4 times. 5.
No, not about that. I did want to win. That's just human nature. Envy, jealousy, disappointment. I'm ashamed that it took David to see the possibilities for a book from those stories.
Well, I didn't see it either. And it was my life. Usually everybody thinks that their life would make a good book or a terrific movie. Never occurred to me. But it is his business. Why do you think he took such a large percentage and why I gave it to him? He saw it, and I didn't. Half the time that I was writing, I would think, he must be kidding.
I did want to win. And I want to win again, more than ever. But I know now why I want to win the next time. So I can thank you. I know now what it's like not to have someone thank you or mention your name in their acceptance speech.
Yeah, it would have been nice. But I always told myself it was just business and, well, I wasn't a part of your business.
I've been a good father. I've been a good husband. I know I have an ego as big as the great outdoors, but that comes with the territory.
Yes, to all of that. At least I know now why your response to the book has been by the numbers, so to speak.
You know, if you need a few words of praise for the cover of the paperback edition, I'd be happy to supply them. And after this evening's stamp of approval, no one could call it nepotism.
Thank you.
You can put this anywhere you like. Sleep with it tonight, tomorrow, the rest of your life.
One night will do. After that, it would be a symptom. Something my mother might do. And, oh, I'm not her.
I might have been the first one to get up on my feet this evening, but those other people stood up on their own. How about we go fulfill those fantasies people are having about us after seeing that kiss I gave you this evening while we celebrate your victory?
To celebrate? You want to celebrate?
That's the mood I'm in now. And with you winning, we did keep it in the family.
That is a way to look at it.
You know, the way you and I met, that would make a pretty good first chapter.
Feel free. It was your life too. You turned it into a work of art. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.